What's up, guys? Silver here with another Halo Infinite achievement guide. This time we're doing part 4 of our Halo Infinite LASO run. This is the mission recovery. Start this up. You technically actually start this mission when you're back at Outpost Harmonious before you go into the Pelican and say, yeah, let's go, let's get on with it. If you still haven't gotten the tank gun, now is the time to get it. Check out the previous guide for Outpost Harmonious if you don't know where it is. It's very easy to get and it pays off in spades. Also, if you're at any point in this mission recovery and you still haven't gotten the tank gun, even if you've gotten this Pelican and you flew away, you could just hit restart mission and then it'll send you back to this area and you could get the tank gun at that point. So get it while you can. After the mission recovery, you could no longer come back and get this. After this cutscene, we'll get dropped off right near FOB Golf, and that's very convenient because we need to capture one of 2 FOBs in this area and complete the tower segment. So we're going to just immediately go to the left here, just climb up this wall. Typically, you would just go straight down towards those enemies, but we're going to get some high ground here, as we learned from Obi-Wan and Anakin. The high ground is always the best ground, so we'll just go down over here, and from here you can basically just snipe all these guys by FOB Golf with your tank gun pretty safely. They could still get some shots off on you, so don't just be standing completely still, but just shoot your gun, back up, wait for your gun to recharge, and then shoot it again. You can see that enemy was sent flying, and like we were talking about in Outpost Harmonious, you do run the risk of sending an enemy flying across the map who isn't dead yet, and that will cause the game to not progress. There's a simple fix for that. All you do is just kind of exit the FOB Golf area, and then just kind of wait around for a little bit, then go back to FOB Golf, and it should be available to capture once you clear out all the enemies. So we're going to go down here, check to see if there's any enemies. I like to leave 1 or 2 alive, particularly the grunts, so I could go up there and sword them to get my shield back if I lost any. I'm not sure if I took any shots in this playthrough in particular, but we'll go over here, sword these guys, ensure we have a full shield so we get that checkpoint. You don't get any checkpoints in this game unless you have a full shield, so be aware of that. We'll try to capture FOB Golf. If it's unavailable to be captured, which in this playthrough I could actually capture it right now. Fortunately, none of the enemies were blasted away that were still alive. But we're going to go up here. You can really go anywhere you want on the ring to kind of just pass the time while the game figures out that you killed everyone by FOB Golf. So I just like to go over here sometimes and kind of just chill out for a little bit. Get a nice little view of the ring where I could kind of just have a nice calm zen moment over here. But once you kind of wait over here for a minute or two, just head back to FOB Golf. It should let you do it. If it doesn't, just do it again. Sometimes it's finicky about that, but just try again, and it should work pretty quickly. You'll know you could capture FOB Golf once the weapon says you made short work of that. Again, this already happened to me right off the bat. I was able to capture it right away, but I was just showing you what I do in case the game is not so kind to you. I just kind of walk around a little bit and then go back to the FOB. So now we're back at the FOB, and you go up to this pedestal, obviously, towards the middle of this platform here. Deploy the weapon into it, and she will kind of give you an overview of the TAC map and all the icons on here and what they mean. We'll skip through that, and you will wind up back here with your cursor on FOB Golf after her tutorial. You could zoom in, and I'm going to go over here towards this Spartan core, which we can now see since we captured this FOB. It reveals that Spartan core on the map, so I'm going to add a nav point to it, and I'm going to go straight to that from this base. So I'm just going to kind of stay on the high ground here, right in front of me as I go towards this thing. You can't see nav points due to the blind skull being on, but you can see the giant beam of light indicating where your target is. So you don't get the nav point in particular, but you do get that giant beam of light still. So it's always a useful thing to throw down for yourself to just kind of run straight at easily. So the high ground has pretty much run out at this point, but that's okay. From here, we will just run straight at this beam of light, and there will be no enemies that we have to encounter, and we will grab the Spartan core before moving to the next section. I will skip ahead here, just run straight at that thing. We'll arrive at the Spartan core here, so we will open this up. We could use this to upgrade our grapple shot now, and this will give you a electric current through your grapple, so you could stun some enemies with it. So upgrade to that, and then we will move on to the next section. We're going to use our TAC map to put down another nav point, and we're going to go up past the recovery icon towards this area where there's 3 roads that meet. We're going to hit that intersection with a nav point, and you can't really see it yet because there's some trees in the way, but we'll go through these trees, and you'll be able to see a big beam of light once again. We're going to run straight at that, and this path between that point and the Spartan core we just got should not have any enemies nearby. So we're just going to cut through here, and I'm going to skip ahead to that point now. We are now arriving at that intersection, and we're going to take the left road here and just follow this for a little bit. And then we're going to dip down into this big kind of ravine over here and just keep moving forward. There's a bridge in the distance. We're kind of just running at that for now. And then we're going to wrap around the rocks on our left side. Once those rocks kind of peter out, we'll wrap around these rocks, and you're going to see that there's 2 struts on this side of the tower. There's 2 struts on every side, but we're going to go up this left strut of the side we're on. And you want to get up to that second level of the strut. So I get up here and then start shooting. you want to get up to the second level. So I start shooting from here, but you can see a lot of sight lines are present where the enemies could shoot you. So you want to get up here before you start in on those guys, especially when it comes to that Jackal with the Stalker Rifle. Those guys could take you down real quick. Return of the Halo 2 Jackal snipers pretty much, and then we'll clear out the remaining enemies. There's a couple grunts. There's a brute with a rocket launcher, so be prepared to back up if he fires that thing at you. Just shot that tower for good measure in case he was still alive. Sometimes he doesn't go down with one shot if you happen to miss. You can't really tell sometimes when you kill that Jackal, but we're going to just kind of clear out as much as we can. You don't need to clear out the enemies in the super front of the base. We kind of wrapped around that, but I'm going to just go over here now. We're going to go up the other strut on this side of the tower, and we'll have a vantage point to clear out a few more enemies. So again, we want to get up to that second level. We're at the first one now. Now we're up at the second. And from here, we'll be able to clear out some enemies down below us. There's a rocket brute on the wall there, so make sure you take him out. There's a couple rocket brutes down below, along with a couple grunts. And once we finish these guys off, this side of the map becomes fairly safe. We could kind of post up and use this as a base of operation here. And we're going to continue going up this strut, though. And you're going to be able to shoot to the other side of the wall. There's a platform in there. And there's going to be a Jackal you want to take out. There's a couple grunts, so you could usually take those 3 enemies out from here, which is ideal. There's a couple rocket brutes on that platform as well, but they're usually hiding behind the strut, so we can't actually get a sight line on them yet. So I'm just going to clear out some of the enemies towards the front of the base as much as I can. Those guys aren't 100% necessary to clear out yet. Our main goal from the top of the strut here was to take out the Jackal and 2 grunts. Now we'll jump down here to the wall. Your first priority now is to take out the Stalker Rifle Jackal in the tower there, and I can't see him, but I know he's in there somewhere, so hopefully the splash damage takes him out, and we will revisit that if we need to. And now there's the 2 rocket brutes that I was talking about as well that are on this platform, so just kind of poke your head out and shoot as you can. They will return the favor with some rockets, but usually they're pretty bad shots, especially if you're moving and staying behind that wall while you're not able to shoot. Because obviously the tank gun takes a little bit to reload or cool down, whatever it does, so you can't shoot too quickly with it. So just shoot and then go back into cover and wait for it to recharge and then pop out and shoot again and repeat the process essentially. Now that we've taken out those 2 brutes that were close by, we could focus on some enemies that are on the other side of the map, but those guys aren't necessary to take out fully. I was just taking a few shots to pick any off that I could real quick, but we'll wrap around this side of the base now. And typically I would just hug the left wall until there's a break in the wall, and then I could just go into the base and go towards the grav lift to trigger the next segment to occur. But I heard a Jackal nearby, so I'm thinking the guy in the tower who I thought I took out right above me is still alive. So I'm just going to shoot another shot or 2 into that area to fully take him out. You can see there was also a tower to my right, to the right of the grav lift where I'm looking now. So I'll just go up here. You can see once it deactivates, you've triggered the next segment. I'll throw a couple rounds at that tower as well now. Then I'll head to the left of what was the lift and is now a hologram of Chaklock, and I could shoot that restraint that is holding all those Marines in place, and they will now act as a good distraction for me for the remainder of the enemies in here. So now I'm going to move over to the right over here, and I'm going to slowly take out the enemies on this side, and there's no rush or anything. You have all the time in the world and all the ammo in the world to take these guys out, so just move up slowly. There's this ramp that leads right up to the platform where most of these enemies are hanging out. We'll take these guys out. You probably have somewhat of a diminished shield at this point, so you might want to save a grunt or 2 to sword to get your shield back. That's always a good idea. Also be aware that there are usually a couple grunts below this platform along with another rocket brute. So if you drop down to kind of get to safety, if you're taking, fire and you drop down thinking you're going to find safety down below, think again. There are some enemies down there, but I believe I took out most or all of them from the far wall when I was shooting over here earlier, but just be aware of that. So we're looking pretty good here. We moved up to this building we need to get into, but there are still some enemies in the building. They tend to hang out in there rather than come out the doors. And also there's probably some enemies still alive towards the front of the base, so you can see we saw a couple Jackals trying to hide down there, sent a tank round their way for their trouble, and we're just going to kind of poke our head through the doorway of this building, throw a few rounds in there so we could take them out with the splash damage before they could even see us. Obviously, you could chuck grenades in there as well, but I like to go nadeless for the most part. This is the area that's not typically safe. Usually there's a rocket brute here along with a couple grunts, but I took them out already from far away. But it's easy to overlook those guys because they are kind of down below and you can't really see them that easily. So they're often just kind of sitting there waiting for you to drop down and then kill you when you drop down. So avoid that. And we're going to just move into this building just cautiously. There's no reason to, just fly in here, although you could if you want. And we're just going to shoot up above here because there's 2 brutes with rockets that like to hang out We will grapple the last one as he moves forward and sword him so we get our shield back. We'll move up ahead to these controls. And when you're hitting controls, most of the time you want to do so with your sword out, because if there's a weapon nearby, you don't want to accidentally switch to that weapon, because if you switch out your tank gun, you cannot pick up your tank gun again. So you want to do that with a sword. So in case you accidentally pick up a different weapon that's right next to the controls, you just could easily pick your sword back up. But we'll skip this little cutscene. This is going to cause 3 drop pods to come down out of the sky and deploy 3 of those berserking brutes that just run at you and just punch you in the face. So we're going to go out into the open area here. You can see the 3 drop pods coming in now. We'll just take these guys out easily enough with our tank gun. If only one is remaining, you could actually use one to get your shield back if you want to. You could easily sword them, and that stuns them, and you could just sword them a couple more times for shield. So we're going to now move over here back towards this platform overlooking the cliff. And there's going to be 3 more drop pods that come in up on the wall here, and you should prioritize those guys. I forgot about that for a split second and decided to take out this turret, because I want to take out that turret eventually, but we should wait for that. We should focus on these guys first. You can see they drop down on the wall there, and we're just going to kind of poke our heads out, take them out as they come down that ramp there. Be aware these guys have guns rather than, just running at you and punching you in the face. So they could get some shots on you from a distance and kill you, so they're not as easy to deal with. So just use cover as you need to and, throw some rounds their way. And that is the last one right there. We'll now head up, and we will now ideally take out the plasma turret that I was distracted with earlier, because we are now not getting shot at. But you want to move this, throw this down. This isn't 100% necessary, but it just gives us a clear line of sight to a phantom we want to blow up as it comes in after we activate these controls. Skip that animation of activating the controls like we would any other cutscene, and then we're going to turn to the right and immediately start laying into this phantom. We could take him out with 2 rounds of our tank gun, and then we could focus on all these other guys being dropped in. Taking out the phantom first is definitely the priority, because that takes out all the enemies that are on the phantom before they're even deployed, and then you just mop up the remainder. Once you take those guys out, we could turn our attention to the next Spartan core, which is in a building to the left of the grav lift here. The grav lift is still not active. It's basically reactivated once enough time passes after you activate those controls we did a little while ago. So we'll grab the Spartan core. Now the grav lift is active. We killed him so fast it didn't activate by the time we were done killing him. But we'll move up here, and there's going to be another upgrade to your suit. You're going to be able to pick up the threat sensor right here, so there's a little sequence of you grabbing it and examining it, but we will skip ahead. At the end of this little sequence, your character will turn to face this door automatically, and the threat sensor notification will pop up. You click OK, and this door is the one we want to be looking at, so that is good news. You want to have your tank gun ready, because the door will open up, and there's going to be a berserking brute along with 2 grunts. Ideally, you will kill 1 grunt and the brute, and you want to save 1 grunt for sorting so you can get your shield back if you need to. And we're going to move up to the next section. If you don't have anybody you could sword right away, no worries. We'll sword somebody else later on. But you want to go to your upgrades now and upgrade your threat sensor. This will increase the radius of the threat sensor, which will really help out with this tower in particular, along with many other places throughout the campaign. But this is the first time you really want to use it, and the first time you're really able to use it. So we'll just go up here, and you see you could just throw down the threat sensor as much as you want. There's no cooldown period or anything because of the bandana skull, so you could just kind of throw it down, clear out any enemies that you could see with it, and then just shoot it down the hallway a little bit more and just keep slowly and surely progressing with that strategy. It's a fairly straightforward process, but you do want to be aware of the fact that there are some fusion coils along the sides of the hallways here. You can see one to my right, and there's one to my left as well. So if I accidentally shoot the ground below me or the wall next to me, that thing is going to blow up and kill me probably. So just kind of make sure you're in the center of the hallway and you're jumping when you fire these shots to avoid that. And I shot a box right in front of me there, so fortunately there was no fusion coil nearby at that point. But we'll just try again. Jump out, shoot that guy, easy enough. And you want to watch out for grenades as well, because you're in a confined place. And the plasma grenades aren't too bad because they don't, have all those shards that go all over the place like a spike grenade does. The spike grenade is a lot more dangerous in hallways like this. So if anyone throws a spike grenade at me in this segment of hallways, I just assume that I'm going to get hit by it, even if it's just a little bit. So I'm going to, if it's the last brute that's alive that throws that grenade, I want to not kill him right away. I want to immediately change course and keep him alive, because he is now a target for my sword, so I get my shield all the way up. But we'll move up here. This is the 3rd floor. This is the last floor that has enemies, so you want to save at least 1. And there's enemies on the right side and the left side as you get up here, so be aware of that. Most of the enemies are on the left, but there are a couple that round the corner on the right side eventually, and they have rockets, and they are brutes. We're going to choose to go up the left side instead of the right side, so we have these grunts to deal with instead of the brutes with rockets. Seems more safe. They do have plasma grenades, though, so they could still blow you up with some explosives over here. So watch out for that. We want to just make sure we're keeping our shield up. There is an elite on this side, though, which has a heat wave and a sword and a pretty hefty amount of shield. So just kind of be cautious as you're moving forward here. Take him out. You might have to end up using one of the brutes with rockets to get your shield back. That happens more often than not, it seems. So we're just going to continue forward. Even though the ramp we want to go up to get to the next part is on our left at this point, we don't need to kill these guys. I'm just going to go over here to get my shield back. And if you grapple a brute, you can see more often than not, they actually just kind of freeze and put their forearm up to kind of protect themselves. So that gets them to freeze and not really shoot at you or throw grenades or anything. So it's a pretty safe strategy to quickly close the gap. And once you get to him, you will slice him. You want to make sure you have your sword out when you do that, though, because if you have your tank gun out, you cannot melee with that, and you will not actually melee with it, obviously. So you won't get your shield back. And even if you had a full shield after fighting that elite, and you didn't have to come down here to slice one of the brutes to get your shield back, you still want to come down here because there's a Spartan core in the corner here. So make sure you switch to your sword before trying to grab it, because you could accidentally grab the assault rifle, and if you have your tank gun out, you will lose the tank gun forever. So always use a sword when you're trying to grab or activate things that are near other weapons. But we'll move up to the fourth and final level of this tower. This is where the boss fight with Chaklock is. This is one of the only times where I use the tank gun. I have the tank gun out when I activate the door up here, because there's no weapons nearby I could accidentally pick up. And also, I want to have it out right away at the start of this fight, along with my threat sensor. So make sure you have the threat sensor and your tank gun equipped. We'll skip this cutscene and get right into the fight. Chaklock runs behind this central structure, so we will just follow him and deploy the threat sensor immediately, and then we will just start laying into him with the tank gun, and hopefully we can just push him back the entire time. Be aware of all the fusion coils around the room. You don't want to accidentally blow yourself up, but you want to try to push him back as much as possible with the tank gun. You also want to deploy the threat sensor and hopefully get it to latch onto him, so that way you don't have to keep redeploying it. If it's on him, it will just follow him around the room, and you don't have to keep throwing it back down. Continue to strafe back and forth so you could avoid most of his pulse carbine. If he does actually end up getting close to you and start lunging at you from far away like he does, you want to dodge more to the left or the right. You don't want to just run backwards, because he will close that gap if you just run backwards. He still could get you. But that's pretty much it. Easy enough with the tank gun. It takes him out a lot faster than you otherwise would be able to. And also, it keeps him at bay a lot, so it pushes him away so he can't really attack you too much. Now all that's left is to activate the console in the middle of the room, and we'll trigger the cutscene to finish this mission. If you haven't seen much in the way of infinite glitches at this point, you are going to be in for a real treat in the next video. And for anyone that says you can't do that crazy skip and unlock the LASO achievement, I got a surprise for you as well. So definitely tune in for the next one. I'll see you there. Thanks for watching, guys. If you found that video helpful, be sure to click on the scorpion icon to subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. You can also check out some related guides by clicking on the videos on screen, and you can find links in the description for other social media links of mine. Stay tuned for more Halo guides, and I'll see you in the next one.